our global youth development work at Special Olympics is it exists in part to address a major disparity that is something that we know very unfortunate in communities. People with intellectual disabilities are 2 to 3 times more likely to be bullied than others. And we know that unifying the next generation to be inclusive of everyone is really just a focus of our mission. And so we're proud to talk about the fact that there are 7,500 unified champion schools in the United States. And these schools have been recognized for their inclusive sports and their clubs and their after-school programming. Just like Maine South, where Danny and Charlotte go to school here in Chicago. The summit work is designed to share some of the best practices that Danny and Charlotte, the best practices that go on at Danny and Charlotte's school, share those best practices across the globe. So there will be summits happening all over soon in Nairobi and in Guatemala and in Singapore and many, many other countries in the next few years to share some of these same ideas about how to be inclusive and how to bring inclusion into the school systems and back into the communities and spread the word of inclusion across the globe. So without further ado, I would love to share, I'm going to ask Danny and Charlotte a few questions about their experience with the Special Olympics program at their local school, which will give you a sense for what your work is doing in the community and what your support means to a student or a family or a community on the local level and how that is being spread across the globe thanks to your support. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I have a couple of questions to get us started today. I'd like to start with you, Danny. Can you tell us a little bit about why you joined the Special Olympics Unified Program at Maine South, and what do you like most about it?
When I first signed up for it, I wanted to see what it was like when I signed up last year. I wanted to see what it was like being in this sport at the Special Olympics. So when I got to there, I really had so much fun, and now I'm doing it again this year. And from there, I've been doing so many great cool events. And like this past weekend, I had this Inclusive Youth Leadership Summit that we did here in Chicago. We learned a lot about different topics, the design, analytical thinking, social media, and storytelling. And like we learned so much. We can take some of their ideas back to our school. And after we finished up the summit this past Sunday.
Awesome. That's so fantastic. Thank you so much. And Charlotte, let me ask you, why did you join the Special Olympics Pals Club at Maine South, and what do you like most about it?
Well, I actually joined after volunteering in middle school for quite a bit with a local autism center in my neighborhood, and I got involved in that because my best friend when I was younger had a disability. I wasn't fully aware of that, but once I got older, I kind of realized it more, and I've always sort of just connected a lot with people of all abilities because I don't really see any sort of difference in us that's negative, So I've since then gotten involved in PALS. I just really wanted to join in high school. I heard about it from a lot of friends, and my favorite part of it has undoubtedly been all of the friendships that have spurred from this. Special Olympics is closely tied to our program, and it's allowed Danny and I to truly become such close friends. I'd consider Danny one of my best friends, and we've gotten to go to so many different summits through Special Olympics, and we've had hangouts on the weekends with our PALS friends, and our PALS program has allowed us to hang outside of school through a structured program, and then also continue and hang outside and go get tea together, or just go hang out at each other's houses, and we just have become such close friends through it.
Oh, that's awesome. And Danny, go ahead.
And also this year we are code officers for our club, which is House Pals. We were co-chairs for Special Olympics Illinois and for Illinois Youth Activation Committee this year as well.
Yeah, so we are co-chairs for both our school's Special Olympics and PALS program, and then for the Illinois Youth Activation Committee, which essentially runs like a summit in Illinois each year. So that basically promotes all of the awesome work we've done in our school to other schools and try to get more people to get involved in Special Olympics and hopefully turn their schools into unified champion schools.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit, kind of piggybacking off of that, I'm going to start with Danny and then ask Charlotte. What, in your opinion, what has this program done at your school?
This program has given me a chance to meet so many other new people that also have an intellectual disability. And when I think of this, I think this is actually a place where their inclusion doesn't even exist. It's where we're all different walks of life, or what disability we have, we all come together and play different Special Olympic sports throughout the year.
I think Danny's definitely got a point there. It started off when I was a freshman, that inclusion was very promoted and it was awesome, yay, be inclusive, that's great. But now it's almost like the norm, and it's so awesome seeing that take place in our school. For example, a couple weeks ago at our first home football game, we had some of our athletes like Danny and some of my other friends in the stands in the front row of the football game cheering on our team, and all of people with and without intellectual disabilities were chatting and talking to Danny and other people just like anyone else would, because it's truly become an inclusive environment. So I think Special Olympics has given us a lot of ideas as to how to do that through attending these summits. The first time I attended a summit was last year, and we've gained so many different ideas through that, and it's really helped us facilitate an inclusive environment where inclusion is the norm.
Awesome. And then speaking of the summits, I want to go back to that. Can you tell me, Danny, I'm going to ask you first, what was something, if you'd like to share, what was something that surprised you the most at the summit?
What surprised me this year was that when we did our podcast back on Saturday, it was really the first time for me that I was actually doing it. When I first got there, I was actually so nervous that I think I was going to mess up. But then while we were doing it, I kind of took pride in myself, and I just let me go through with it.
I think that's definitely something that was so awesome to see. Danny and I got the opportunity to be on a podcast when we were at a National Leadership Summit in Chicago this past weekend. So that's what he's referring to. And Danny and I both were very nervous beforehand. We both like speaking in front of people, but it's nerve-wracking for anyone. But then we got up there, and I swear Danny's responses were 10 times better than mine. He just knew what to say, when to say it. You did so awesome, and we both really learned how to speak in front of a live audience, in front of over 100 people, and then it's broadcasted out to even more people, thousands. And seeing Danny learn to speak in front of so many different people and be confident in what he's saying, and me as well, that was such a moving experience.
That's awesome. And I know that you shared that there were some other students and athletes there that it really meant a lot to, and they were able to express themselves.
For sure, yeah. So the very last day when we were presenting, this was after the podcast, but we had to present a way we were going to implement inclusivity into our state, since there was people all from over the US and in Canada. And one of the pairs got up and was getting a bit emotional because their athlete had autism, and he really felt included when he was there, and he sort of told us about that. And Danny got up and spoke, and I kind of was surprised. I was like, why is Danny standing up? But he got up and told people about how autism is more common than you think. Over 1 in 3 people have autism, and it's something that makes us different but special.
Yeah. And this means also the brain functions a lot differently too.
Yeah, so it was so awesome seeing that people were able to connect over their disabilities, but not despite them. It was something that they really feel is special about them rather than something that marginalizes them.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your experience about the summit. I think in closing, what I would love is if you could share just general advice for all of our friends at Kantar who are looking to be more inclusive in their lives, whether it's in their community or at work or with family and friends. Can you offer any advice, Danny, on being inclusive?
Well, when I think of inclusive, I think of like advice we give, like when you're joining us, you're also giving back. You're not only helping yourself, you're helping other people in like your community, your workforce, the partnerships and your friendships that you make. And from this, you get to learn so much that you pass it on to the next generation of new leaders that will come on after you.
I would definitely agree with that, and I would say that just like what happened at our school, in order to promote true inclusivity and acceptance and create a really unified generation, I think that we have to start by celebrating inclusivity and celebrating these great achievements in which people with intellectual disabilities are accepted into the community, but then normalize it, start from the ground up, and make sure that this next generation, our generation really, sees inclusion as the norm. So definitely do that in your communities, do that in the workplace, do that wherever you can.